I'm Katrina O'Neil. At 29, I had a cardiac arrest. Due to the lack of oxygen, it caused 13 years of memory loss, which also include not remembering my 3 children being born. I went 22 minutes without oxygen. I was told my survival chance was a 0.01% chance.
When she reached the ER, Katrina made a miraculous recovery. By any measure, she should have been dead. My name is Robert Gow. I'm a filmmaker who is friends with Katrina O'Neil. When I first learned about her story, it stuck with me for months. It drove me to create Losing Yourself. How long were you in a coma for?
3 weeks. It was a total of 21 days when I woke up.
Can you describe what it was like when you woke up from the coma?
It was very confused. I didn't know where I was. It was just really scary, and I didn't understand what was going on.
So how old were you when you came out of the coma?
I was 29.
And how old did you think you were?
I thought I was 15.
Can you just tell me a little bit about what it was like to see your children for the first time?
I was really just a deer in headlights. They came running in saying, "Mommy," and I didn't know what was going on. It was just a blank feeling. It was like strangers coming into the room, but they're calling you mommy, and it's really confusing because you're trying to place them, but when you have no memory of them, there's no connection, and I didn't feel any emotional connection to these people. It took quite some time to try to build that connection, that mother-child connection that I would assume would always be there, but you almost had to rebuild it.
What was it like seeing other family members for the first time?
Yes, I remembered my mom, and I just kind of clung to her. My sister, I thought that she looked completely different. Same with my brother. It was really confusing trying to place them where I remembered them at such a younger age, and in between 13 years, there's such a growth difference that it was hard for me to accept what was going on because I just didn't understand really how everything could be so different.
Can you describe what recovery looked like for you?
So we did a lot of memory exercises to help try to regain my everyday memory and try to gain back some of old memories. We didn't have to do any physical. All my walking and speech and everything was still there when I woke up. Some of them were just easy, like word games and trying to remember the words that you're being told, as well as going places and then having to re-explain hours later what actually took place. And a lot of it was writing down in journals and trying to see it, feel it, write it down, and that would help the memory grab that information.
Katrina is now 36. She took us to a baseball field to discuss the details of her cardiac arrest.
So it was our Sunday team, and I was up to bat, and I hit the ball deep into left field. I took a triple off the play, and when I got to third base, I looked at the next batter, and I told him to do better than that. I ended up collapsing and landing face first into the ground. Everybody kind of ran over to me and was trying to tell me to breathe. Is when I went unconscious, and they did CPR for about 12 minutes before the ambulance got to us. When the ambulance showed up, they shocked me 3 times on the field. And when they were able to get me stable, they put me in the ambulance to transfer me to Cambridge Memorial Hospital. In the ambulance, they had to shock me several more times. And when they called in, they coded me as dead on arrival. When I did get there, they worked on me and continued to shock me until they were able to get me stable again. I ended up in a coma for 3 weeks. I was really lucky to have a lot of people there by my side. One was a firefighter, one was a nurse that were able to continue the CPR until the paramedics came. They say I am the way I am right now is because they never stopped giving me the CPR in those 12 minutes and how crucial it is for where I am at. So when I had the cardiac arrest, what happens is your whole system shuts down, which just stops the flow and the oxygen to the brain. So after being unconscious for so long, the lack of oxygen to the brain causes brain damage. The other issue is that when I fell, I went head first into rocks. So it damaged the front part of my brain as well. So not only did it affect the long-term damage, but it also affected short-term damage. Right afterward, they used to call me 10-second Tom. My mom would have to explain to me what happened, and about 30 seconds later, I would completely forget, and she would have to remind me. This happened for several weeks until I got a grasp on every single day. Every morning when I would wake up, though, I would still be completely scared and unsure of what was going on and where I was. My children, they couldn't stay with me because I couldn't care for them. I didn't know who they were.
How long did it take to get back to some semblance of normalcy?
I would have to say it was probably about a year and a half. I was going through the motions of every single day, but nothing really felt whole to me or right again for probably at least a year and a half.
We spoke with Dr. Failings, a professor of neurosurgery at the University of Toronto, to get a better understanding of how the brain works. What are the effects of oxygen deprivation on the brain?
Well, oxygen is critical for cell signaling, and when the brain cells are deprived of oxygen, they undergo injury, and after about 4 minutes, there can be irreversible cell death.
So how can blunt force trauma affect memory?
Well, blunt force trauma can cause injury to the brain, either through a concussion, where typically there's kind of a shaking mechanism of the brain, and that can cause cellular disruptions, all the way through frank damage from bleeding in the brain or shearing of nerve cells and nerve fibers.
Losing yourself. We'll be right back. You're watching Losing Yourself. We went to the park with Katrina's 3 children, Logan, Lily, and Pearl, to talk with them about their experiences with their mother. They were only 11, 8, and 1 when the cardiac arrest happened. They are now 17, 14, and 8. They stayed with Katrina's friends and family after her cardiac arrest. Lily, what was it like rebuilding your relationship with your mom?
It was hard, especially since I was younger and seeing how different she was so suddenly. Like, my brother had more of an understanding of it, and I was just there confused. So there was a lot of times where I would just lay with her while she was sleeping, or just like hang around her to try to build that connection. But over time, it definitely became easier as I understood her situation more. And I remember one time she took us to the movies, and she wasn't like there mentally, but her being there physically kind of helped me like learn that that's how I should reconnect with her.
Logan, can you tell me a little bit about rebuilding your relationship with your mom after the incident?
It was a little weird at first, her having been in the hospital, I think it was about a week, without knowing anything, so that was a little concerning. When she finally did get back, it was nice to have her back, but at the same time, it didn't feel the same. Like, she didn't have the same amount of energy or, I don't know, drive to do some things that she used to. So it kind of grew a little distant after that, and slowly over time kind of warmed back up as we started to get more used to how things were.
What was your life like before the incident?
Yeah, so before the accident, I worked for the region of Waterloo driving transit with GRT. I played a lot of sports. I was very active. I coached my kids' athletic teams. I was involved with their schools, all around, just involved with the community every way I could. A lot of it I don't really remember. I lost so many years. It's more so what everybody else kind of tells me what I was like.
What were some of your hobbies when you were a teenager?
Sports. Ringettes, baseball, volleyball, softball. Anything that I could do outside, running the roads, riding bikes. It all mattered. That's it. I didn't want to be inside.
Does the part of your memory that's gone, does that still feel like you?
I don't feel like me. And I don't know how to explain that because I don't really remember what I was before. But it feels like there's something missing. Like I'm not measuring up to the same thing as before.
Katrina took us through some of her old photos to reflect on the time she lost.
There's a lot of emotions that come with looking at these. I know who these people are, but I don't remember these moments. But I wish I could remember Logan at that age, just so that I could remember what was making him so happy. It's amazing to see the kids being so happy in them. And I know that's what they remember most. It's hard looking at baby pictures, only because you want to remember your baby. And that's probably one of the hardest things that I dealt with, was not remembering those moments. And when they look so cute like that, it's amazing to see just in all these pictures how happy the kids are. That makes me feel really good to know that they're just so happy.
On the more practical side of things, how was it being thrust into adulthood with bills and expectations?
Overwhelming, stressful. It's still a lot to take on. It feels like I was 15 one day and woke up in 3 kids, bills, schedules to maintain, whereas most people remember those slow steps into that process, whereas it just kind of woke up and here, deal with it. And trying to navigate through that, it's scary.
How do people react when you tell them about this?
A lot of people are blown away. They look at me and my age, my demeanor and how I carry myself, and it's hard for them to see or how that happened. But a lot of people who understand what cardiac arrest is and the brain damage that can cause, you can really see it in their eyes, like that they have more of a deeper understanding. They show a little more empathy.
Katrina's memory still isn't what it once was, something she has difficulty with on a regular basis. What do you do if you become disoriented?
As soon as I figure out that I have to isolate myself. The biggest thing is I start to pull things that just look familiar. If I'm at a restaurant, I'm looking to see what restaurant it is, to see if I can bring myself back to anything that's familiar to get me back to knowing where I am.
We went to a pizzeria to discuss Katrina's previous job.
I went back to work. I went back to a pizza place as a store manager. I was the same place that I worked at while I was in high school. And because I was waking up every day thinking I was back in high school, it's what was familiar to me.
What were your responsibilities?
So I had to take orders, fill orders, deal with customers, run the staff in the in-store, order the products, everything that kind of had to do with running the store. So it was the same owners that was there when I was in high school. So they were very welcoming and opening to me, and were really happy to have me back on the team.
Losing Yourself will be right back. Welcome back to Losing Yourself. Dr. Tatter is a neurosurgeon and a clinician scientist at the Toronto Western Hospital. He aims to enhance the science of neurological disorders. What would you say to people who are frustrated by having lost so much memory?
Well, I would say that it's futile to try to continue to grasp at straws, to try to remember things that are gone from your mind. It's important to try to retain more recent events as you recover, to retain the events that are happening now, rather than to dwell on trying to restore previous events which have no bearing on your recovery from the condition that has caused the amnesia. The brain is probably the slowest organ in the body to recover. And being patient is, I think, important. Little gains are really important. So as you recover, you may not even be aware of small gains that are being made because it may be so slow. But it's important not to be too discouraged by it and to try to move forward.
We revisited Katrina and her family to discuss reconnecting after the incident. What was it like to rebuild your relationship with your children?
Yeah, it was really exciting. It was a lot of fun to hear all the wonderful stories that they had of their childhood with me and to rebuild those memories and really be close with all three of them.
So what are your favorite things to do with your kids?
Oh, there's all kinds of fun things. Each of them is a little bit different. Right now we'd be skating and tobogganing outside, watching movies with my middle and TV shows and being able to connect and discuss those things. Really going out for something to eat and having that conversation is one of the most amazing things.
Lily, what's your favorite thing to do with your mom now?
Anything just getting out of the house, like if it's going to a restaurant or taking a walk through the park. It's just something that we can both do together because it helps us connect more with socially. And I thought that's just something that's really important to me in our relationship is that we get to go out a lot and just experience things together that we didn't get to just after the incident happened.
Logan, what might people not expect about having a mother with memory loss issues?
So, like, if you try to plan any kind of events, it was kind of like you'd forget easily. So something you'd have to constantly remind her of. If she was doing one task and did something else, there was a common occurrence of her forgetting what she was originally doing, which led to burnt food or just other annoyances that could ended up happening.
Lily, do you have any advice for people going through a similar situation?
Have patience and find people outside of like a parent or like whoever in your life had gone through the incident. Find someone else that you can connect with and have as an anchor while you're going through that until you can rebuild the relationship with that person, because that'll help you stay more anchored to yourself and it'll make it a lot easier to deal with it, like a grandparent or maybe some good friends at school. I had a nice group of friends at school. Like maybe they didn't realize that they were those people for me, but growing up, I just had a little friend group and they would always be there for me and support me, even if I didn't tell them what was going on. It was a small neighborhood, so they were always there to hang out with me and just bounce around on a trampoline if mom was going through a hard day or in the hospital. Her and my brother also, him and his friends would also just be there a lot for me when mom was not able to.
Logan, do you have any advice for someone going through a similar thing?
Definitely a lot of patience. It takes a while to get used to, especially when when she originally had her cardiac arrest, just the in and out of the hospital trips all the time. So, kind of be patient with the process and have faith that everything will turn out all right.
How are you doing right now?
I struggle with still remembering certain places. I struggle with the unknown of it could happen again at any time. Rebuilding friendships, just getting lost still and trying to find clarity in everything. It's really scary and there's a lot of anxiety that comes along with it.
What was it like playing baseball again?
It was nerve-wracking. At the same time, it was easy to initially get to the field. because I don't physically remember what had actually taken place. Once I started playing, though, different situations would give me a lot of anxiety. I would just get an overrush of my heart racing, to the point now where it's just changed the way I am as a player. I'm not as competitive anymore. I will only take a base at a time. I won't overexert myself to make any more plays. But the biggest thing was I just wanted to also get back to the diamond. The diamond, it was my home. It was what I truly loved.
How do you keep up hope?
I look at my 3 kids and I see how happy they are. I see what they try to achieve and strive for, and it keeps me wanting to keep going every day.
Do you have any hopes for the future?
I don't, really. My hope is that I kind of just make it through each day. I just hope that I can be the mom that my kids deserve. So one of the things that helped me find my happiness again was I stopped trying to live up to something and someone that I didn't remember. And I really started enjoying who I am now and who I am today, instead of trying to be something that I don't remember anymore.
Directed, shot, and edited by Robert Gao. Produced by Robert Gao and Robin Abbott. Second camera, Robin Abbott. Sound design, Enrique Andrade. Produced by Vulture's Bluff. Integrated described video consultant, Ron Rickford. Supervising producer, Michelle Dudas. Content development specialist, Ryan Delahunty. Copyright 2023.
An AMI original production.